And we're on.
We're live, pal.
We're live
Or are
live to
we?
tape.
Bum, bum,
I don't believe anything you say.
It's all a scam.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mack Flash Five, the show where we like to get together and talk and list our top 5 favorite movies fitting a certain topic or subject or genre or idea or actor. You know, you've seen the show. My name's Matthew, and I am here with, couldn't tell you, don't know what his name is.
I know, why is it that? Why is it that?
We'll have to look. We'll check his dental records later. I think his name's Mike. Not sure. That's right. Scott and AB are also with us.
Hi.
Today's topic. Scott picked today's topic, and we've seen the title card. Top 5 con artist movies. We're gonna go around and list our top 5. We're gonna do our. We are going to list 5 movies, but as like usual, we are going to go into a deep discussion about 3 of those movies, then mention 2 more in our honorable mentions, and list. And we're going to talk about movies we try not to list the same movies over and over and over again. We do our best, but sometimes it gets repeated. I'm pretty sure we've taken extra care not to talk about movies we talked about before.
I think we call that the Will Smith rule, right? Where I think, is that not?
What? Do we? Oh my god. Okay, can I just start on my 3 then?
But yes, Scott picked the topic, so he's going to lead off with his number 3. Why did you pick con artist movies?
Okay, I picked con artist movies because, again, I was looking at my thing, I'm looking at the movies I like, and the movies I specifically wanted to talk about, and just con artist movies are fun. They're cool, they have twists, they have cool characters, they have things that you don't see coming, and they change, and it's a wide variety of spectrum, given what you think of con artists and grifters and things like that. One of my honorable mentions is probably a better film than this one I'm about to talk to, but I don't want to talk about that one. I do think this is a more fun film, and it's more popcorn, and I certainly don't think it would ever come up on a list if it weren't for today. So I'm going to go with 2015's Focus. And if you can believe it, I think this is one of the first Will Smith movies I get to talk about. Will Smith is my all-time favorite actor. I do not like anybody even remotely close as I like Will Smith, and he's never done a bad movie. And we're going to talk about the one where he plays a con artist who tries to win back Margot Robbie's heart. So this movie I thought was an absolute load of fun, man. I saw this movie twice in theaters in 2015, and it just is this cool, sleek, sexy film, and it's really the last of like the super, super cool Will Smith, and in it he plays just a simple con man, very much as that. He's going from city to city, and he's running these elaborate cons, and as it starts, he sees Margot Robbie, and she immediately catches his eye, as she would. She is one of the most beautiful women ever on earth, and as he slowly brings her in his empire, his con empire, and the wide cast of characters, and as it goes, she gets a little too big, she's a liability, they break up. Ultimately, a year later or so, she's running a con, and she's part of it, and she's injected in this new one, and it's just kind of a cat mouse. They're trying to stay ahead. It's the film is loaded with sexual tension and chemistry. Again, it's set up in the backdrop of like a indie race in Spain, and again, it's cool cars, beautiful women. It's Will Smith cracking wise and being cool. There are some scenes that are like, that's kind of a little bit much, as when they bet on the Super Bowl, and he keeps doubling this bet, and it turns out that he ingrained the thought, and he knew he was going to win because he had planted the numbers or subconsciously around. It's a little bit much, but it sets sympathy for the devil, and it looks badass as it's going. So Will Smith throwing a pile of money to sympathy of the devil, I'm going to eat that up all day. So again, just for the main reasons, because a lot of people haven't seen it, and if you want something with a cool coat of paint and have a lot of fun with, my number 3 is 2015's Focus, starring Will Smith.
Great.
I have not seen it.
I've seen the gossip surrounding the movie.
Oh yeah. They melt the screen together, bro. So exactly. Yeah. You know what's crazy? I brought that movie up tonight. Originally, here's the thing. This movie was originally cast, figure this out, casting what ifs, AB's on the rewatchables, Ben Affleck and Kristen Stewart. Oh, wow. And they both dropped out, and you got these two beautiful people. And then again, it shows on film. And there are rumors that they hooked up. They certainly did Suicide Squad a year after that. They, if the rumors are led to be believed, that Will's not allowed to do Suicide Squad 2. But otherwise, all things considered, it definitely shows. I'll explain it to you. It definitely shows in the film because their chemistry is palpable. And like I said, it's just a fun story, and it's what you want a con artist to be. And if you can go two ways. You can go the gritty story where you see and it's based on true events and that, or you can go the conning people is fun. Life is fast and we have lots of money. That's what this movie is.
For no other reason, I'll watch it to see their chemistry.
It's great.
It goes on my list of movies that broke up a marriage, like Proof of Life.
You have a list. That's a list.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That's another one.
Top 5, like what is it? Top 5 adult
home record movies.
Is that Meg Ryan?
Meg Ryan and
she got with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, while she was married with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, that's Proof of Life. Okay.
That's Proof of Life. Yeah.
Anyway, Celebrity Gossip Hour is coming
absolutely.
up at 10 o'clock. Scott, you talked about there's the serious con artist films, and there are the fun and enjoyable, like not enjoyable, but fun and crazy and goofy silly ones. I looked at my list, and doing my list, I realized that I like my con men movies to be extra goofy and fun. And so we are going to go to the Villa to talk about this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is from 1988. It is directed by a gentleman. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him or not, but his name is Frank Oz.
I know,
and
on your list.
And it is 1988's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, starring Steve Martin and Michael Caine. I just watched this movie last night, and I still like it a lot. It definitely, for me, it doesn't hold up as much as it did when I was younger. I liked it a lot more when I was younger. The Steve Martin characters are really goofy, but it is really funny. And I liked the play off of Steve Martin being Steve Martin's goofiness versus Michael Caine's straight man, which is really fun. And it's Michael Caine is the seasoned veteran con artist, and he is kind of taking Steve Martin under his wing. But at the same time, they have this rivalry going, and it's a fun rivalry, and it ends up getting crazy. And it takes some twists and turns. And so I think I forgot, we should have brought this up earlier. There's probably going to be some spoilers. I'm going to try my best. I don't know what you guys, but I'm going to try my best not to spoil any of the endings,
like the
cons. Yeah, because I think that's the
twist,
the fun. Yeah, you don't want to spoil any of the fun of it. And so I'm going to bring up the one character that makes me laugh in this ridiculously much. Oh, hold on, I'm bringing up the wrong one here. And it is Steve Martin's character, and so they're running a scam on, okay, you can bring it up. This is Steve Martin as Ruprecht, and so during this scene, he is acting like a mentally challenged brother of Michael Caine. Yeah, it really doesn't, and that's why I was like watching it. I was like, ooh, I don't know, but I just laughed hysterically at this because the servant comes up and he was like, "Sir, may I take your trident?" Oh, thank you. And he gets like, why does he have, like, where did he get this trident from? And like it's so funny that this servant was like, "Oh, let me take your trident from you," but he has this scene where he's throwing a fit and throwing a tantrum. It's pretty goofy and doing, but yeah, it definitely doesn't age well as far as that goes. But still pretty fun, and it's a good romp. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed 1988 Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. When
I saw that picture, I thought, why isn't that a Funko Pop yet?
Ruprecht. That's why it's problematic now.
You answered it. I just, when I first saw it,
the kids say, it's problematic these days. So yeah, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Have you guys seen Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
I haven't yet. It's certainly on a to-do list. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you got like those guys, if you like Steve Martin, if you like Michael Caine,
So I've
they have a
seen
good time doing it.
Forever ago, maybe half, and I tried to find it this week. I couldn't find a good link at work, but I'll watch it here because it's like on Amazon or something. But I will watch it soon for sure for this. I want it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely a good time, and it's got and like a lot of these con movies, it has a fantastic ending that is. Even though I've seen this a bunch of times, I totally forgot, and it got me again. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And it got me. So
They're not dirty or rotten. They're.
I was gonna say, you know what you didn't bring up too? The reunion, Frank Oz and Ian McDermott. I know Ian McDermott.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I saw him in the credits.
Yeah.
I saw him in the name in the opening credits, and I was like, oh, Ian McDermott. Now, so I was looking for him.
Films,
yeah, very fun.
All right, that's great. My number 3 is going to make you guys go, oh yeah, I guess, because it's not really a con artist movie, but this guy certainly fakes his way to the top. My number 3 is The Secret of My Success.
Yes, love The Secret of My Success. It's 1,000%. That's awesome. That's a great pick.
He's
starring Michael J. Fox as a kid who's straight out of college. He's on his way to New York to live in the big city, work in a corporation like his dreams dictate. He gets to New York. The job he has lined up falls flat. So he has to call a distant relative who is, happens to be the chairman or CEO of a huge conglomerate corporation. And he put his uncle puts him in the mailroom. The corporation's having some, financial problems, and it's going through cutbacks. On one of his mail routes, he discovers an empty office, and he sits down at the desk, and he's like, this, in his mind, this is what I want. The phone rings, he picks it up, he's like, and starts a conversation with some Midwest distribution center, comes up with some good ideas, and decides I'm going to take this job over, and I'm going to do it under the radar as best I can. Comes up with a fake name. He has all the training he got from college to do the job. It's not like Leo DiCaprio, who just walks in and pretends to be a doctor. Michael J. Fox plays a guy who knows what he's talking about. But throughout the film, his name is Bradley Foster. And then he comes up with Carlton Whitfield as his alias. His uncle is suspicious over who this Carlton Whitfield person is, and he's trying to chase him down and constantly has to escape board meetings, trying to be undetected. His love interest is Helen Slater of Supergirl fame, and she's in love with this Carlton guy. She doesn't know that his humble beginnings or his real name. He also, to connect it to Back to the Future in a certain way, he unknowingly hooks up with his aunt, his uncle's wife, so they're not related, but
what is his deal?
J. Fox.
Yeah, this is movies.
Yeah.
And
nobody
that's in his clause there.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody did nicer scumbag with a heart of gold than Michael J. Fox from 86 to 93.
Did he date Mallory for a while on Family Ties too?
That'd be hilarious. I don't know.
But I love Secret of My Success. I did a Doc Hollywood Secret of My Success back-to-back feature last summer, and I'm like, this is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Double feature. That should be a topic. That should be a future topic or something.
Ooh, could. But yeah, that era from that to Life with Mikey is unbelievable. Like arrogant Michael J. Fox, who's like a dick, who is humbled, and yeah, exactly. So he does that wisecracking cool guy so well.
By the end of the movie, he gets found out, but with some financial help, becomes the new chairman of the corporation.
Of course,
hostile takeovers and such. So number 3, The Secret of My Success. I watched it. I was like, what's a low key, deep cut movie? I was like, that's one for sure.
Awesome.
Put it on, watched it. Loved every minute.
Did you watch the It's Always Sunny episode when they spoofed that?
Probably not.
Okay, I'll send it to you. They spoof Secret of My Success and It's Always Sunny.
When you were describing it, I was thinking of Cosmo Kramer the whole time, going in with
It's not exactly that, but certainly like that.
His briefcase full of, what do you got in there? Crackers.
Crackers.
Also, Billy Zabka and Cobra Kai. Nice briefcase. Yeah, it's empty. I found it at a dumpster. Awesome.
So mine is not nearly as witty. I actually I started with films I thought for sure were going to make this list, and then on rewatches I was like, oh, they're not as con artisty as I thought. They're more just like a series of happenstances and things go a different way. So I was like, it's going to be this, this, and this, and then it was like, nope, it's none of those. So I had to kind of go back to the drawing board. But so I went probably a little more obvious here for my 3 and 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if I see both of these on other lists farther up. So I'll be brief. But so my number 3 is 2013's David O. Russell directed American Hustle. And I didn't think it would make my top 3, and it almost made it by default in a way, because I rewatched it recently. I saw it when it came out. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't a film that, although my wife's probably watched it like 7 times now, it wasn't a film that I was drawn to go back to. But I was like, you know what? This is totally a con man film. And so I was like, I'll go back and watch it. And on the rewatch, it does start off slow for me again, but then it really kicks it up. I really, really, really enjoy the appearances by Louis C.K. Oh man!
Oh, Henry Cooper.
And then when De Niro comes in later, I really quite enjoy it. But if you don't know the film, I'll be brief. But it's essentially, like Scott said, you got your true story sort of con men, and then you've got your silly ones. So this is the true story one, and it's about the ab scam sort of fiasco, which is hilariously in the middle. Like I don't forget who says it. I don't know if it's Christian Bale or should that title sounds like that's a little risky for a title, right? Because it's Arab scam. Like that's where they came up with the title. And so the concept is really early in the film, which was really jarring for me watching it again, that it jumped right away to Christian Bale getting caught, right, in his scams with Amy Adams' character. And then all of a sudden they basically have to work for the FBI and try and get other people caught, other con artists. And then it spirals into trying to catch congressmen, et cetera. I won't give away too much, but I just love Louis C.K. and his ice fishing story. And then, like you said, I think, is it Bradley Cooper? Who keeps going,
yeah.
Tell me the end of that story. You don't get to hear the end of that story. Oh my gosh. Their back and forth like made the film worthwhile for me. So it's not like a top, but I did quite enjoy it, and it's smacks of con artists, like and great actors. Like it's packed with great actors. Matt's favorite actress, Amy Adams.
Yeah, right.
And then my favorite sort of description of new technology, because this takes place in like the 70s, right? When the science oven. Don't put metal in the science oven, which is the microwave.
Science
and then Jennifer Lawrence does, and it catches on fire. And why'd you bring this science oven home? Like I thought that was a riot. So there's some funny parts to it. So that's my number 3, American Hustle. I know it wasn't a big sell for me, but it's a good film.
That is 100% the movie that I should have put over Focus.
Yeah.
It is my honorable mention. I love American Hustle. It could honestly get as high as 2, and I was debating it.
Sure.
I'm obsessed with that movie. I love the movie. I love Cooper's whole arc. In just like little scenes when he's perming his hair, so it's not a real perm, and he's eating wings, listening to baseball, and Amy Adams calls. And, and he's just coked out at the club. And the scene with him and Louis C.K. when he finally thinks he got the one over, and he comes in, and he's, oh my god, that movie is
like, I think the humor, because you don't look at it as a comedy, the humor is the redeeming quality of that film, in my opinion. Like, so yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's an absolute comment movie. I'm so happy I picked this category because I'm just like on cloud nine with everyone's picks.
I am not a fan
of the whole film.
I mean, I understand why it would make this con artist list, because it absolutely is one of those movies. Yeah. But it was not a favorite movie of mine.
Yeah, I can understand
don't like Amy Adams in like anything.
I don't get it.
I know.
So
that was
good.
my
I
joke.
think Jennifer Lawrence is the best part of it.
Actress.
Amy Adams is phenomenal in that movie.
Okay,
I think
I don't
Amy
think
Adams
so.
or Jennifer Lawrence is the tanking part of that movie.
I will agree
She's
with
like
that
23
statement.
and she's like a mother.
I will
Yeah.
agree.
Yes. Makes no sense.
Yes, I'm partial either way, but Amy Adams does a better job in this film, and I'm not a huge Amy Adams fan. Jennifer Lawrence, definitely at parts, I'm
She's
like
the scene when she sets the thing on fire, and the scene when they're in the bathroom. I'm just like, what is she doing?
I'm pretty sure I only saw the movie because it got nominated for like 10 Oscars.
Yeah.
Didn't win a single one of them.
Very good. Very good.
Well, I remember that because I was like, oh, I hope it wins nothing. And it didn't. And I was like, yes.
I think I saw it. I saw it in the theater for sure. And I think I saw it once after that. And I'm with you, Matt. I like it. Like I enjoy it, but it's not something I'll ever like run to watch.
Sure.
Oh, I love me some David O. Russell, man. He is Scorsese light, and it is a good. He's like it's good.
I already said, like, even though you talked about the comedy in it, I like my con man movie to be even more comedy. I want all comedy.
Well, this was a tough category for me, and so because like Matt mentioned earlier, what I can't reuse, and I had to reshuffle, and so this became my 3 sort of by default. But I do and still enjoy it, and I can appreciate it, and I think it's well filmed and things like that. So that's why it is. But anyways, we move on. Number 2 for you, right, Scott?
Yes. So again, I went back and forth. I hope you guys meet this one because this has got to be a con man movie. I mean, it's certainly 100% a heist film, but there's a con going on, and everyone's kind of playing their parts and they're going. And I won't talk too much in case it comes up later, but I'm going with like the quintessential con man / heist film, and it's 2001's Ocean's 11.
That may come up again.
Okay, good. Because I was thinking, I'm like, I don't know what draws the line between a con and a heist, but Damon certainly is running the biggest con of them, and they're planning the heist, these two handsome gentlemen. But with this movie, this is exactly what you want. I remember seeing this movie in high school and being like, oh my God, movies are transcendent. This whole movie, beginning to end, the look, the color, Soderbergh's directing, the visual, the eye he has, everything Clooney's doing in this movie is A+ across the board. It is so immensely quotable. It is cool, sleek. It is sexy as all hell. Between him and Julia Roberts and Andy Garcia, and what a cast this had at the time. And it ages incredibly too. You look at the guys that they put in bit parts. Casey Affleck won an Oscar. Scott Conn is a mega star on TV. Don Cheadle, this is his breakout too. You just look. R.I.P. Bernie Mac forever. But again, this film is just so, like, again, for the time, set in Vegas, and it's cool. And I've been to Vegas 5 times or so, and every time you watch Ocean's 11 before, because it's shot strictly on location, you're like, hey, this is great. So again, we'll save it. It'll come up later. But again, for it and just everything else too, Ocean's 11.
I think what you said there is perfect because every movie I watched, I went, okay, where's the line between heist and con?
Yeah.
I think this begs for us to do a heist, a top 5 heist sometime.
Yeah,
sure. Because
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking about these kind of movies.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is a heist movie to me.
A bit ago, and I was looking for one of my DVDs, and I was like, I have quite a bit of heist movies that I wouldn't consider con films. And then I was like, oh, but now that I think of it,
well,
I thought maybe. But again, Damon's doing his stuff, and as it's going, it is absolutely.
When we come back around to me, I'll make a more of a case with you there for it's a con film. It falls under both, but why I think it's a con.
Yeah, it's just one. Like I said, I remember seeing it at 13, being a perfect age. Everyone has their parts to play. Again, it flows. It's paced perfectly. It feels like it's 20 minutes and it's 2 hours. It's wonderful.
An enjoyable. Top to bottom 2 hours.
You brought up the cast, and one of the people that you didn't mention is one of my favorite things about Ocean's 11 is they cast Elliot Gould, Elliot Gould all through the 70s is playing in like California Split and those kind of like gambling movies. So it's kind of a throwback role to him. Like even just casting him in there is getting all these people that know who Elliot Gould is going, I see what you did there. So when they cast Elliot Gould, I was like, oh, that's great. I love me some Elliot Gould. So that was kind of a nice little
that whole
throw in there.
Even Carl Reiner too, and his big part.
Oh man, Carl Reiner's R.I.P. man. Carl Reiner.
That
is no, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Ocean's 11 is honestly like the '96 Bulls, where it's top to bottom and loaded with stars. You're just like, this is great, everything's great, and what a perfect film. I could watch it over and over.
I was only gonna ask, is Elliot Gould in your number 2, AB?
Nope.
No.
He's in my number 2.
Tell us who is.
Okay, and my number two, we're gonna go a different route here, and this is again, this could be a different kind of movie. You could say this is a gambling movie. I went with the con angle on this. This is a remake of a TV show, and it's from 1994, directed by Richard Donner, and we are going to go with, you bring it up there, Maverick.
Oh, wow.
Starring James Garner, Mel Gibson, and Jodie Foster. You don't really understand where the con is until the very end. I won't ruin it, but there's the long con going on this week, and there's individual cons going on as well as the scene with
Graham Greene.
Graham Greene, yeah, it's Graham Greene. Thank you. I was going to say Graham Greene. Graham Greene. There's that whole scam going on there. Jodie Foster is constantly trying to pull a scam, and she's pulling scams on everybody, including her accent. And it's funny. It's great chemistry between Mel and Jodie in this, where he's calling her out for stuff like that. She's like, "Oh, I can't really place your accent. Where's your accent from?" It's kind of hard to place, and so he's calling her, trying to like teach her the scam. To scam better, and like telling her about her tells and all that stuff during poker. It's just a great film, and I love. I think it's brilliant that they brought in James Garner, who was the TV Maverick, right? Bringing him in to cast him in the older gentleman role, which is, and if you've watched the movie, you know where it goes, and it's hilarious. Like, it's perfect. It's just got that great mix of there's action sequences. It's hilarious. They got great gambling scenes. There's the twists and turns that they go. An insane cast. Like, it's got a amazing cast. And I will bring up a picture here.
I know what you're bringing up.
It's got one of my favorite cameos of all time. It's Richard Donner. Bring it up. Bring it up, please.
Excuse me.
And it's got one of the greatest cameos ever. It's got Richard Donner, so you know he's worked with Mel before, and this gentleman right here. And so on paper, this should be cheesy as hell, like this scene, but it plays so well. And it to me, like, I remember seeing this in the theater and laughing so hard at this part when I'm looking at each other, like, what? No, what? No, no. And like, couldn't be. And like, it's just very, very fun stuff. It's just again, like I said, I like my con man movies to be fun, light, and I want to have a good time, and I don't want to be too bogged down. I looked at lists of con man movies, and there's some really heavy stuff in there, and so like, I was like, I get that, and I can appreciate a really tight, like really well written con movie where they, you know, twists and turns and you don't see stuff coming. But for me, I like it nice and light, nice and fun, and I want to have a good time.
I want to see everything coming.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, when I saw this in the theater, I was a teenager when this came out. I definitely did not see the end coming. I saw a lot of the other stuff coming, but I definitely did not see the end coming on this one. And I was like, whoa, that's fun. That's fun. I think it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's a lot of fun.
Nothing needed to make sense back then. And I think this was one of the first movies that I can sort of remember connecting with my dad on. Because he, you know, like James Garner, watched Rockford Files, like Maverick, all of those things. And I don't remember if we went together or I saw it and he talked about. I can't remember. You know, it's sort of vague, but I know we both enjoyed it, and for completely different reasons, which is kind of cool. Because he enjoyed it for that nostalgia factor, and I enjoyed it because it was a good film. It's a very entertaining.
Well, what's amazing about it, and that what it connects it to guys from your dad's age and our dad's age, is they have about 1 million cameos of old Western guys, right? You can look down the IMDb and it's just a laundry list of old Western guys, including, I had to laugh, one of the guys that gets kicked off the boat is Waylon Jennings. There's a bunch of country singers in there too, and Waylon Jennings is the guy who gets caught with the gun with his wife, and he blames it on his wife and he gets tossed out. That's Waylon Jennings. And so there's him, and there's like I'm trying to think of who else in there, but like
James Colburn.
Jones Coburn is like a major role, but they're like a lot of the bit players that are at the tables are all all old Western guys. McClure.
Make that a photo in the quickie speed round. Name all of the.
You can like you go around the different poker tables and be like, name all these different guys. Oh man, but it is a blast. It is definitely a blast from start to finish. And Mel is at his.
That's what I was gonna say. You're getting
coolness.
peak
coolness,
Mel,
like
right
just
before he
cool
turns
as hell.
into Artur. This is movie star Mel before Braveheart. Artur, I'm respected.
And
so
you can tell he's having a blast.
Yeah.
He is having a great time doing it. And
Nice. Oh, you surprised me with that choice, I will say.
yes.
What do you got, Matt?
That was a great choice. My number 2 is a more recent movie. Going through the list, I was in the initial list I looked up. It wasn't there, but then it popped in my head. I was like, no, that's definitely Con Artistry, and I wanted to watch it when it came out because it got nominated for a couple of Oscars, but I didn't get to. My number 2 is Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Oh yeah,
it was interesting because Melissa McCarthy.
I never saw it. Go ahead.
It was interesting because we talked about it in our chat. We changed the title from Con Man to Con Artist, and Scott said, "Oh, he's going to put The Hustle with Wilson and Hathaway," and then we were like, "No, he's going to put Identity Theft," and then that's kind of what made me think, "Wait, yeah, she did." Melissa McCarthy did a good movie about con artistry.
Well, you know what?
That's which is a true story, which is great.
It is a true story.
Tell me the cliff notes, because is it? If I'm led to be believed, does she like fabricate stories?
Yes. Okay. So she's an author. She writes biographies about celebrities like of the golden era of Hollywood or of past playwrights and stuff, and people aren't buying them. So at the beginning of the movie, she has a job as like a copy editor. You see her like redacting forms and stuff. And she goes to visit her agent. Her agent wants nothing to do with her because her next book is going to be a biography about Fanny Bryce. And I even had to be like, who is that? I wouldn't read. I don't know who that is. So why would I read a book about that? The movie is set in 1991, which is, perfect for the movie and the story, and obviously in the in the actual events, because finding out forgeries would be a lot easier today.
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
So she's down on her luck, and she decides she's going to sell a letter she received from Katharine Hepburn. She brings it to a used bookstore, and the owner says, "Oh, this is great. I'll buy this." And she gives her money. And later on, she's doing research about, Fanny Bryce. She's in a library. She's looking through a book, and out pops a letter that Fanny Bryce had written. 2 of them, actually. She keeps one for herself, and she brings one to the bookseller again. And she's like, "Oh, this is great. I'll give you $75 for this." She's like, "Why so low?" "Well, it's the subject matter of the letter. If it's a juicier letter, I'd pay more." So she goes home. She has the other letter, which is a pretty bland letter. And then she forges a PS, which juices it up a little bit. She brings that back to the bookseller, and she's like, "I'll give you $350 for this one. It's hilarious." And she gets the idea. Well, I know she's written these biographies about these people. She knows them so, somewhat intimately in her own mind, that she could forge letters from these authors and playwrights and screenwriters and sell them as originals and, pay off her debts with them. She eventually gets found out because, you can only go so far. I think a letter she sells to somebody, gets sold to somebody else, and word gets back to that person that, Noel Coward wouldn't talk about his homosexuality in a letter. It was very secretive back then. So he delivers that news to to Melissa McCarthy, to Lee Israel, who is a real person. That's the character she plays. And so she has to watch who she's selling to, change some of the subject matter of the letters, and hires a friend she makes in the movie, played Richard E. Grant, who's a bit of a small time drug dealer, hustler type guy, and she sends him out with stories about selling these letters, and he collects the money and they split it. They have a falling out. The FBI is on to her. She gets caught, goes before a judge, gets a slap on the wrist. But basically, the movie ends, just pretty much as any of these other movies end, except for maybe Ocean's 11, who get away with it.
I was gonna say that I haven't seen it, but I feel like now I have.
I was just gonna say. I also said, "Hey, don't spoil it. I'll watch it."
I'm sorry.
It's a great film. Her relationship between her and the Richard E. Grant characters is what really holds the film.
They were both nominated.
They were both nominated.
And it's fantastic. I for the most part really dislike Melissa McCarthy. I'm not a big fan of her stuff, especially her comedy stuff. And so when this was nominated, like you guys know me, I watch all the stuff that's nominated. So this came up, and I was like, Melissa McCarthy, and I watched it, and I was like, this is really good.
It is
and
really good.
Like Richard E. Grant was really good, and like the two of them together have some really great scenes.
I maintain she's a very good actress. It's just
no doubt. There's too much. Well, their choices.
There's a lot of baggage with her.
There's too much of her at the same time, where she literally had like 7 movies in like a 2.5 year span. Where I was like, okay, enough. I don't need any more.
She did the Will Ferrell playbook. She didn't do it as well, but she did the Will Ferrell playbook. I'm going to be zany as hell. I'm going to do all the weird. Give me all the comedies. And then
because like there's definitely stuff I love her in.
Awesome dramas. So that was like her.
Which was a great move. Like for me, like that's the move. Like you said, that's the move you got to do, because people are burnt out of your zaniness. Like hit them with the drama stuff. And
I said this many times before. You go Robin Williams, you go Jim Carrey, you go. There's a lot of these people where I'll take their dramatic roles over their comedies any day.
Sure.
You probably just won points with my wife there, Matt, because when we were running through these lists, I tend to tell her what the topics are, and we talk back and forth, and I say, this is what I'm thinking, and she gives ideas to me, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. That was one of hers. She said, you have to watch it, and I said, I'm gonna try, but like I try to watch as many as I've seen to refresh them, or try a couple new ones. But it's like I only have so much time, and it didn't make the cut in time because I knew ones I had seen before that I wanted to rewatch.
Yeah. This was a movie I wanted to see, and I checked the streamings. I don't think it's on anything streaming. So I went on iTunes, $5 rental. It was absolutely worth it.
Yeah, it's great.
Cool. Nice. All right,
moving right along.
Yep, I'll be brief. You can put it up on the screen. It's been discussed already. I will say...
okay, let's go.
My favorite... I don't know what it is tonight about quotes, but I will say... my favorite quote from the film, since you sort of said most of what I needed to say, is I think it was Clooney when he was talking to is it Tess, Julia Roberts' character.
Is it the same quote? Is it my favorite quote too?
You're a liar and
a
a thief.
thief.
I only lied about being a thief.
That
greatest
is electric.
That's the greatest quote. I think I'm because I just I've seen this many times, rewatched it, and I heard that and I rewound it and I went, that's genius.
I'm gonna go I want justice for that whole scene where she's like, I got your divorce papers on the last day. Told you I'm right. That whole scene is molten. It's sexual charged chemistry.
Yeah.
It is, oh my God. It is one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen. It is lit to perfection.
So
that is incredible.
So without going too deep, I will say I do feel this does fall on over the line to con. It's obviously a heist, but over the line, because not only is Damon's character conning, like Andrew mentioned, Reiner, like all of his coming in and he's got to get the diamonds in. That whole thing is a con to set up the heist. You don't have Reiner doing that and coming in with the briefcase. You don't set up the thing, the cart being pushed in with the acrobatist there coming out, and so you have a lot of little mini cons that
and
have
Brad Pitt's the whole
all these
straw that stirs that.
Exactly. So all these little mini cons themselves are what allow that heist to go. And the reason I felt this was more con than heist is because when I was thinking about heist movies, there's lots of planning and there's lots of things going on, but in general, they more involve the digging the hole or the, you know what I mean? Like this is all set up, right? So.
When you were just talking about that, it made me think about the motivation of why they're doing it too. It's for the money, but it's more about revenge on Garcia. So they're
all about Garcia.
So they are doing it not for the heist
those
itself,
are Terry Benedict's
get back at
casinos.
Garcia. that kind of like when you're talking about that, you're like, yeah, okay, that convinces me more because obviously they want to get paid, and a lot of those guys are obviously doing it for the money, but they're doing it to get at Garcia.
Well, you think of Danny. You think of Danny. He sacrificed. Like, I mean, he didn't need to do this but he wanted to for the to get Tess and to stick it into to Garcia. There, he went back to prison doing it. He sacrificed himself and had to go back for however many months for violating parole, right? So it was about the money, but he was willing to go back to jail to make this all happen, right? So that's why that's my number.
That's good. That's good.
So when you say con artist, the con is short for confidence. You have to enter into your mark's confidence and make them trust you. So essentially that's what Matt Damon does and Carl Reiner does to Terry Benedict is absolutely a con film.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What are these honorable mentions, right?
All right.
It's funny that you say that, an honorable mention. I couldn't find it. So we're going to go. My first honorable mention is American Hustle. I love that movie. That movie ages very well for me, and it could be even higher. And my fifth honorable mention that I want to put on is 2003's movie, Confidence, starring Edward Byrne. Does anyone know about that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen it. I saw it once.
I own it. I feel it somewhere. I might have lent it out. I got to buy it again. It's a very fun con film. It tries a bit too hard to be like, we're cons. But again, at the time, I enjoy it. There's about 1 trillion twists in that movie. And Ed Burns is a cool movie star in the indie circuit. And he's playing a con man. And he's cool as shit in that movie. So my two honorable mentions, American Hustle and Confidence.
Nice.
Which you pointed out it's con. It's so funny.
Like we practiced that or something.
Yeah, really.
AB.
Okay, so this is one of my few serious con man movie, and it's one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies. You can bring it up. That is directed by Ridley Scott. Is Matchstick Men.
Awesome.
And my other one, it fits along with the rest of my movies on their zaniness, and that is, you can bring that one up, is with my home girl Jimmy Lee. Fish Called Wine. Which was directed by Charles Crichton in 1988.
When you said Nicolas Cage, I was like, don't tell me he's going to say Con Air just because the word con.
Awesome.
I mean, you could do adaptation maybe because like he's writing himself into it, but no, I'm just kidding. Magic Man. Magic Man.
Nice. Yeah.
Let's see. My honorable mentions include. I actually wrote down a few just in case, like some of them got mentioned already. Catch Me If You Can. We've talked about. Definitely has to go on there. And Dear God. You guys seen that one?
Oh, Dear God is with Greg Kinnear.
For the Greg Kinnear movie. Yep.
Wow.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't thought of that movie in 25 years.
Yeah. I was going to watch it right after Can You Ever Forgive Me, but I didn't have time. So I was like, can't put it on here. Honorable mention.
Is he a con man? I know it's his parole to answer letters, and he starts answering the ones from God, and it's it's almost like a Miracle on 34th Street. Does God exist? And what? Oh yeah! Wow! I haven't thought about that movie in 25 years.
Well, now you can wait 25 more years.
That's a good one.
So mine are Catch Me If You Can, only because I can't. I talked about it on True Stories. Check that one out if you want to hear me talk about it. But my other one, which is just good fun, and they even made a sequel out of it, is 2013's Now You See Me.
Cool.
Sure.
Which is like, I was watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh, magic is the biggest con. And it's the whole movie is them conning every single human around them, right? Playing tricks on them. But it's also the big con that's played out with Ruffalo and everything.
That lost the shit out of me. The final 30 minutes, I'm out. But the Franco with the cards,
there's a sequel,
is cool as hell. I know I saw the sequel too with Radcliffe. Doing more magic.
Yeah. Different kind of magic. Yeah.
But
anyways. There you are.
So that ends the honorable mention. Scott's gonna the beginning of the end here with his number one.
We all know what it's gonna be.
And again, so I like the list, and I feel like for most lists what I pick and you guys pick, I'm like, well, I always know my number one, and I work backwards. My number one is in my top 5 to 10 favorite films ever. And again, it's kind of funny to go around the horn, and AB's like, I like my con man movies fun. You know how I like my number one con man movie? as the 1974 Best Picture winner, and that's
Yes.
The Sting, starring Paul Newman and Robert Redford. There's no question this is the greatest con man movie of all time. It is literally all about the all-time greatest con, and what it is, it's the second pairing between this fantastic tandem of Robert Redford and Paul Newman. Paul Newman is one of Hollywood's all-time icons, and in it, Robert Redford's trying to get back on trying to avenge the murder of his partner. He goes with the person who trained his partner to ultimately pull the con over on Robert Shaw as well too, from Jaws fame. And in it, it's just it's set in the roaring 20s, and it's very much a roaring 20s style film, from the zoot suits to the fashion to the way they talk. And the ultimate con is building this racetrack to get him to bet, and they're bringing in from Chicago and Detroit and all like the
Telegraph
style telegraphs, and it's just such a cool film. The music, the score, the entertainer as the theme, the very iconic song. I think that's by Marvin Hamlish. That's something I knew even as a kid before I saw this movie, when I was working my way through the IMDb 250. And I came to this, and I remember being like, well, I've heard that as a kid. And again, it's just a film. Like I said, as far as Redford wearing the pink striped suit because Johnny Hooker is cool and he's got the roses, and he's a small time con artist, but he's got a little bit of cash, and that he thinks that gives him the clout. But it's finally when he meets the downtrodden alcoholic Paul Newman that they come together. And people like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid more. I don't get it. This movie is 100 times better than Butch and Sundance. They have so much more charm, wit. Again, watching Newman, literally true scenery. It's a shame. I mean, I could have put this con movie on kind of a little bit. He wins the Oscar for The Color of Money, which I think is super overrated. He's great in it. But if you really want to watch Newman own a screen as a powerhouse performance, it's his performance in 1973's The Sting, which won the 74 Academy Award. So my number one, no question. I believe it's also directed by George Roy Hill. Things like that. But I haven't seen this movie in about a decade, and I can still tell you every single thing about it because it's a movie that I remember watching about 5 times the first year I watched it, and was like, well, that's most definitely. And again, it's in my top 10.
It's really not on my list, only because I knew somebody was going to mention it.
100%. I knew it was going to be on Scott's number one.
Yeah,
so it's like, it's like you said, it's obviously the number one con man movie. Always when you talk about con man movie, that's the first and movie that comes up all the time because it is the best. So I knew you were going to bring it up, so we can talk about it.
A different decade is timeless with those two.
Yeah.
It's
well, here when you talk about timeless, you said it's 1974. It came up today in that Rewatchables podcast that I listened to about Jaws, because they're like, okay, this came out the year before Jaws, right? You think about Jaws when it came out. When you think about The Sting, you would never realize that it came out that late. When you think about it, it's like this movie feels like it came out in the 1950s, and they do such a great job of setting up that world.
Of course,
that
great.
Like it feels like an old-timey movie. Like it feels like you're watching an old-timey movie, but this is like literally a year before Jaws. And so like it's incredible. And so like it also has the Jaws connection with Robert Shaw. Robert Shaw is incredible in that movie.
Like 20 years in the span
yes,
of 1 year.
And like he looks fantastic. He looks fantastic in this thing.
This movie
it does, and he is. He's amazing in that movie. Like it's so funny. It's because Robert Shaw has come up over and over this week for me because we just went to see the Bond movies, and I watched From Russia with Love.
Cool.
And he's the bad guy in that. And he looks like Daniel Craig. He looks super young in that. Yeah. And I'm like
10 years before Jaws.
Yeah. And so I'm like, he literally looks like a kid, and then like not even like 10 years later, he looks like he's like 75 years old in Jaws.
By the time he gets to Jaws.
But yeah, Robert Shaw is incredible. I didn't realize that he died so young. He died in 51.
That's in the pot. I know. I'm glad you're hooked on the rewatch. That was my favorite episode, the Jaws episode.
It's wild. But anyway, yeah, Robert Shaw is awesome. The Sting is awesome.
So now, what's your top one Robert Shaw movie? Oh no, wait, we're talking about.
We got to get some Robert Shaw love there. He doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough love. The other two guys in that movie get all the love. Robert Shaw, without Robert Shaw, those guys have no foil.
Yeah,
so,
I agree with you. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so my number one was definitely going to be my number one thing, and you guys might be like, oh, really? That's your number one? I love this movie so much. I watched this movie a ton when I was a kid. I love everything about this movie. It's super fun. We're going to go into The Ring here. This can be classified as a boxing movie, a sports movie, but to me, this is an ultimate con movie, and it's got two of the sleaziest, most fun characters going head to head, and that is 1992's, directed by Michael Ritchie, and you bring it up, is Digstown.
Yes! I hope it's Digstown.
And also pictured in here, Oliver Platt, who's amazing in this. So I watched this movie a ton. This movie was always on TV. I had the VHS of this film. I loved it. I watched it again last night to get ready for this, and I love it. I love every second of it. But when you start thinking about like the technical side of it, and like, this is impossible. Like, this would never happen. Like, I think he's like 48. Lou Gossett Jr. is supposed to be like 48. He's fighting 10 guys, and then there's all kinds of like cheating going on and cons going on, and there's all these different plays that work. You kind of don't know who's for who, and there's all these different plays and callbacks throughout the movie. To me, the great thing about this movie is you got the super sleazeball, obviously, in James Wood, who's also one of the all-time sleazeballs in real life and in movies. But he's going against somebody who's even sleazier, and we want to bring him up here. And he owns this movie for me. It is Mr. Bruce Dern. Bruce Dern has got one of the all-time sleazeballs in this movie. Like, you are rooting so hard. Like, James Wood is a dick in this movie, right? James Wood does all kinds of like
James Wood is a dick. Period.
No, well, yeah, in real life, but in this movie, he's a dick, and so he's kind of a likable dick. But he does a lot of dick stuff. But when Bruce Dern you start learning about what Bruce Dern did to the town, and you start learning about what Bruce Dern did to. He was the manager of Charles Diggs, who's the town is named after, an old timer boxer. You find out what happened, what he did to him. You are rooting so hard against Bruce Dern, and you want this to go down so bad. And like we said with Ocean's 11 going after Garcia, Bruce Dern is so good at being a dick in this that like you are all in. You are all in to want them to win this bet, and it like the ending is so satisfying. Again, last night I was sitting in my seat. It was super late. It's probably 11:30, and I was like glued to my seat, like yes. And I knew what happened. I knew the ending. I've seen this movie like dozens and dozens of times. I knew it was coming, and I still was like, yeah, got him. And it's so satisfying. I cannot say how much I love Digstown. And so it's funny. What I didn't realize until I started looking at all these looking into like the different things about this movie. It's directed by Michael Ritchie, who's directed Fletch, Bad News Bears, Golden Child, like Wildcats, like tons and tons of movies that and I didn't realize that until I started looking up. I'm like, oh, the same guy, Michael Ritchie. But yeah, Digstown.
I want to say I loved it. I was so late to the Digstown party. I think I saw it for the first time like 4 years ago. It came up on the top 10 podcast. It was like 8 to 10 on that one of that list, and I watched it, and it's everything I like. It's con men, it's boxing, one of my all-time favorite sports. It's swarmy James Woods, and I just want to say James Woods with one of the greatest lines ever. What's the difference between a hustler and a con man? A hustler has to get out of town as fast as he can, and a good con man can stay or leaves when he wants to. Oh, yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome. So there you go, perfect pick.
Yeah, and it's got a special like 5 minutes appearance by Randall Tex Cobb, who I always love seeing in movies. Gotta love Randall Tex Cobb. Old Tex Cobb.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Moving on to my number one. I'm going to pick it like right now. There is a fight between
like
two movies.
Board?
It's almost like that. But I think I'm going to go with my number one being Inception.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's one of the movies I saw. I think it's True Blue Heist. True Blue Heist. I don't.
Sure. Yeah.
Fill me in.
I understand exactly what you mean, and it was, but like I said, the difference between a con and a heist is con meaning confidence. So they go into somebody's dream and then use them to get information or, whatever that is from their mark. They start at the beginning with Ken Watanabe. They get into his dream. That one fails, but they sit and they talk to him, and they do their best to. They're posing as somebody that they're not, in order to gain information that they want him to give to them. If I made sense at all, just now.
Well, you're right. The con is Hardy as Berenger. Is that what you're saying when he's pretending to be?
Yeah,
Tom
he's
Berenger?
an absolute con man in real in the reality world as well. He cheats. He's a gambler. He cheats. I think he's making phony casino chips to further his financial revenue or whatever.
Don't they say in there the only way to get the information is to get him to give it up willingly?
Well, he has to, because it's the whole thing. And I don't mean because that's what actually started my dilemma of seeing that. And I thought of that. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of Inception. Is it a con movie? Because that's what Levitt says, where he's like, if I tell you, think of llamas. I haven't seen it in a while. What's the first thing you're gonna think of? They have to make you want to think of llamas. That it's your idea. Right. And I remember there's school,
exactly.
And I remember the end. Leo's leading him to it, and his dad's there. So it's a lot going on. It's absolutely. I didn't mean to I do. I just remember that was the reason why I second guessed Oceans, but. That's a fantastic call.
But it's just another piece of evidence for how close they are.
Close.
Yeah.
And later in the film, their new mark is Cillian Murphy. They dive into his dream. They, and in there kidnap him. It's almost and then later, the plan is to have Tom Hardy play Tom Berenger in the film and have him get information because he's posing as a close family friend. Later on, they have to tell Murphy that he's dreaming, and in order to do that, and then afterwards make him part of the team, because when they go deeper into his dream, he teams up with them to invade his fortress, his mind fortress in the mountains or whatever. Very James Bond villain situation.
Sick.
And he helps them break into his own safe to find the pinwheel. Which is not, but they're not taking anything from him in that. They're trying to incept. They're trying to plant an idea, which is different.
Sell the company or something,
right?
Yeah.
To he's going to inherit his father's company, and the plan is Ken Watanabe's plan is I want him to sell it, part it out, so he can no longer see him as a competition. But yeah, so they gain his confidence. Definition of con artist in my head. So I'm putting it as number one. It's fighting against this movie, which I won't mention for now. It will definitely be on a future list. Absolutely.
What is it?
That's my number one.
Because you're right. They don't
break the rules. What is the other one?
No, I was saying Inception. Because they don't steal, they plant.
Right.
An
idea.
Yeah.
Which when he wakes up has to.
We talked about it.
Which when he wakes up has to realize it's his own idea.
And that ties into the Digstown quote I just said: the hustler versus the con man. Because
cool.
Great. Like I said, I had my crisis. I would have put that on my list if I had given it more time to think. Fantastic one. Fantastic. This is what I love.
Mike's going to finish the list here.
I'm going to
his number one.
Yeah, I'm going to finish this list with nothing like any of those other films. So Scott and Andrew and all of us have kind of said you've got your comedy cons and you've got your sort of true story type cons. This is a whole different world of con, but it is more con than I've ever seen.
Wrath of Con?
Wrath of Con.
And more con than you've ever seen. At one point in the film, and I know I haven't said the film yet, but at one point in the film, one of the characters even says that her daughter would make a great con artist. This is 2019's Parasite.
Yes, that was the movie. That was the movie that was fighting for number one.
I haven't seen it.
This is I'm gonna tell you right now. I won't give anything away.
Everyone ham. I know this is on the title list.
I won't give anything away, but I will tell you that this is probably my favorite film of the last 5 years, easy, if not 10. And it is like top to bottom con, and it's just a family of cons. And I'm not going to give anything away other than like the fact that I just love how it just starts out with one con and everything's an angle, and then they're looking at things as stages and levels, and how can we get the next member in on the con, and then the next family member in on the con, and just the title itself alone, Parasite, summarizes everything about this family. And oh my gosh, watching it, right? And this is a film that I could probably watch once a week, and watching it is like, I don't know, I just feel like everything is perfect and so disturbing, right? Like you even know right from the get-go without knowing what's going to happen. Because I went into this fresh. I didn't know anything about this. It felt to me from seeing sort of the title art and the DVD covers and all that it was going to be, this is going to be extremely like a horror film or something. I don't know, right? And with that title and everything, but you go into it not knowing, and everything was like, oh, there's something bad's going to happen here. And you just don't know what, and everything surprises. And I don't know, it's just so beautifully shot, and the juxtaposition between the haves and the have-nots, and the fine line between what does happen and what could happen if you were on one side or the other side. And it's just like, I love that title art that you pulled up there, that someone did there, because it's just so perfect in showing the two parallels between these two families. And man, are they con artists and good at what they do. So that's, I don't want to say too much, mainly because Scott hasn't seen it, but also anyone who hasn't, I would have been pissed if I knew anything going in.
Yeah, you want to go in as fresh
you
as
like
possible.
Your con movies as Best Picture winners too. I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
That's right.
Like you said, Mike. I went in the same way as you. I knew nothing. The only reason why is because there was a lot of hype for it on a lot of my horror pages that I'm on, and so. Same as you, the movie starts and it starts something and I'm all in. Like they just like you say, how they set it up with like how they work and everything, and I was all in on there. And then it just does that turn, and it's like it takes on a whole new thing. But like the whole time, I'm invested. I'm invested in all these different characters. I'm invested in their marks. I'm invested in the whole thing. It's just a fantastic.
It's like
film.
3 different films in one,
Yes.
but seamlessly tied together.
Absolutely.
Like there's not this moment of, oh, weird. You know, you've seen films like that where it just turns and you're like, that didn't. It was.
Well, and you care about what happens to not only, like I said, not just the
both
family, but both families.
families.
Both families, you care about what happens to them, and like it obviously, like it goes to crazy places. So
so that is a check it out.
Well, that was one of the biggest wins was when that won. I was like, I could not believe that.
Yeah, I do a terrible job trying to convince people to see this movie because I pretty much tell them what happens in the first half and then leave it there like, that's it. No, see the movie. And you'll realize how good it is.
Karate Kid 3, Dicktown again.
Terry Silver.
And then I'm gonna watch this week.
Yeah.
That's a Tide.
What?
And
Silence of the Lambs.
Well, that's on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, watch this first. You'll thank me. Okay. Anyways, so there it is. There's that list.
There's our list. Our individual top 5 con artist movies. Let us know what you think. Give us your list in the comments below. Disagree, agree, disagree. Come up with 5 completely different movies. We've all read lists about con artist movies. There's more than enough to go around
on there that did not make our cut.
Well, here's the thing: make some comments later, and I might respond back to you and tell you if those were my 5 movies at all. I might have 5 totally different movies.
I might have my wad on this, but I saw and I was like, shoot, I should try and get the financial cons in there and try and work in Wall Street and Boiler Room.
There's a ton.
That's like its own thing. So I'm like, oh boy.
Convince us a movie that traditionally isn't known as a con movie.
Yeah, con us
into seeing a con movie. Also, like, share, and subscribe this video. It helps out the channel a lot.
Play the quiz later.
Please do that. Yeah. Play the quiz later tonight around 7. This airs in the morning. That airs at night. Thank you for watching. for Scott, AB, and the dude in the witness protection program. Oh, I keep forgetting to have this ready. Thanks for watching.
Part of the show now.
We'll get
This is when Matt can't click the button.